Welcome back to CIA Declassified. By 1965, the CIA had mastered the sky with the A-12 and the U-2, but there was another frontier, one that was closer and far more oppressive: the ocean floor. The Soviets had begun losing hardware, missile components, code books, and nuclear warheads, to the deep. This was the genesis of the agency's interest in Project Diving Bell, a program designed to push the limits of human physiology in the high-pressure environment of the continental shelf. Based on declassified memoranda from the CIA's Office of Research and Development, Diving Bell wasn't just about submarines. It was about the human body. They wanted to know if they could turn a man into a biological machine capable of working at depths that would crush a conventional hull. The technical reality of diving bell was saturation diving. This was a revolutionary concept. Once a diver's tissues are saturated with gas at a specific depth, they can stay there for weeks. A quote from a declassified Navy CIA log. The saturation diving technique is the only method that permits long-duration work at great depths. Once the diver is equilibrated to the ambient pressure, the decompression time is the same whether he stays down for an hour or a month. End quote. To achieve this, they used HelioX, HELIOX, a mixture of helium and oxygen, but helium changed the speed of sound in the diver's throat, leading to the Donald Duck voice effect that rendered verbal intelligence sharing nearly impossible. In 1965, during the Sea-Lab 2 experiments, which the CIA monitored closely, the helium voice was so severe that divers could only communicate with the surface via long-form writing until the development of the speech unscrambler, the ANPQC2. We have expanded our investigation into the CIA's involvement in these deep-sea programs. Here are the documented facts and clearly decreed speculation from the ORD archives. The primary objective of CIA deep submergence research was the benthic surveillance program. According to declassified ORD, Office of Research and Development, memos, the agency sought to create a, quote, permanent manned presence, end quote, on the seafloor to monitor Soviet submarine acoustic signatures. The goal was to place sensors in the deep sound channel where sound can travel thousands of miles. Physiological records show the Project Diving Bell assets were subjected to rapid compression tests. In one declassified trial, divers were compressed to a depth of 600 feet in just over 1 hour. The result was the first clinical observation of high-pressure nervous syndrome, a condition causing uncontrollable tremors and micro-sleeps that threatened the safety of any clandestine mission. Strict speculation. There is significant informed speculation regarding the biological interrogation protocols found in redacted ORD annexes. Historians suggest that because the helium speech effect in high-pressure environment caused severe cognitive disassociation, the agency may have studied the habitat as a site for environmentally assisted interrogation. The speculation is that the sensory deprivation of the deep ocean was being weaponized to break the psychological resistance of captured assets in a deniable location. A quote from the CIA Office of Research and Development: the deep ocean environment offers a unique combination of extreme isolation and physical stress. Control over the diver's life support parameters, gas mix, temperature, and pressure provides a total environment control system that has no equivalent in terrestrial operations. End quote. The most successful real-world application of this research was Operation Ivy Bells. Divers from the USS Halibut, using the saturation techniques perfected in Project Diving Bell, successfully placed a recording pod on a Soviet military telecommunications cable in the sea. They worked at depths of 400 feet in total darkness, hand wrapping the recording device around the cable. Strict speculation. Regarding the deep interrogation modules, analysts speculate that the CIA's interest in liquid breathing during this era was not just for deep sea survival. There was speculation that the drown-resistant technology was being tested as a method of induced near-death psychological conditioning, though no unredacted documents have yet confirmed its use on human subjects for interrogation purposes. By 1970, the CIA had successfully tested a dry transfer method. This allowed divers to move from a submerged submarine into a pressurized diving bell without ever touching the water. This was the missing link for clandestine insertions, allowing the agency to land teams on a foreign coastline by exiting a submarine while it was still at its maximum operating depth. A quote from a declassified Sea Lab mission command: "Total darkness and the crushing weight of the water column create a psychological inner space where the subject becomes entirely dependent on the mission controller for every breath and every degree of warmth." End quote. Strict speculation. It is a matter of intense speculation among Cold War historians whether the CIA attempted to establish sleeper habitats directly beneath the polar ice caps. The theory suggests that Project Iceworm concepts were merged with diving bell technology to create manned acoustic listening posts that were physically unreachable by Soviet surface sonar, powered by miniaturized radioisotope thermoelectric generators that would allow for years of silent operation without surfacing. The CIA's Project Azorian, the 1974 attempt to raise the Soviet submarine K-129, utilized many of the material science breakthroughs from Project Diving Bell, specifically the heavy lift cables in the specialized capture vehicle. The Claw had to be engineered to survive the same hydrostatic pressures over 7,000 pounds per square inch that the diving bell research had charted years prior. The heaviest redactions in the diving bell files appear in the section regarding excursion pharmacology. Strict speculation. It is widely speculated that the CIA was experimenting with specialized stimulants on neural blockers to suppress the tremors associated with high-pressure nervous syndrome. Given the agency's history with MK-Ultra, there is further speculation that these redactions cover the long-term mental health outcomes of the divers, many of whom reportedly suffered from severe neurological decline that the agency wished to keep off the official record to avoid liability. Was Project Diving Bell a success? Operationally, it was a profound success. It provided the biological blueprint for Operation Ivy Bells and proved that the ocean floor was a viable theater for intelligence. However, as a long-term habitat project, it was a failure. The cost of maintaining human life at those pressures was simply too high compared to the emerging field of robotics and ROVs. The project was officially scuttled in the mid-1970s, but its DNA lives on in every deep-sea operation conducted by the U.S. Navy today. The breakthroughs were numerous. The heated wetsuit, using a closed-loop system of warm water to prevent helium-induced hypothermia. Helium unscramblers, the first analog voice-shifting computers. Saturation logistics, the ability to transport pressurized humans across the globe without triggering the bins. Project Diving Bell reminds us that the agency's reach isn't just global, it's vertical. The excursion records from the 1960s prove that humans can work at 1,000 feet, but at a massive cost to long-term health. Many of the original man-in-the-sea pioneers suffered from aseptic bone necrosis, the literal death of bone tissue due to the high-pressure gases, a permanent scar from the Cold War's deepest front. Next time on CIA Declassified, we move from the crushing pressure of the deep to the crushing pressure of the truth. We examined the mechanical polygraph blueprint based on document number CIA RDP 78 04007A 0007A00040003-8. We look at the technical specs for Wigmore polygraph. This wasn't a computer, it was a purely mechanical device, a series of bellows and ink pens designed for use in the most remote corners of the globe, where there was no electricity. We'll explore the field truth protocols and how the agency tried to build a lie detector that could survive a jungle or a desert. Join us for the clockwork confession. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.